really enjoyed that. Probably went a bit deeper than I had envisaged in the warm-up, but climb felt good, especially given the lack of sleep last night. I'm looking forward to seeing what the data's like on Training Peaks for that one. Anyway, about 2 more minutes recovery, and then we start the lactate shuffles. 7 of them. Well, on Wednesday, I made the very unpleasant, if not unsurprising revelation that through not having trained any kind of vertical pulling movement over the last 9 weeks, the strength through my biceps and lat muscles had almost evaporated. I'd gone from something like 14 pause rotating chin-ups pre-pandemic to just 5 on Wednesday. And I guess that confirms the age-old adage, lose it or use it in terms of strength and muscle. So, this morning I'm going to hunt down a little bit of progression, and I'm going to do exactly the same workout as on Wednesday, i.e. a superset comprising rotating pull-up and press-up, only I'm going to add an extra rep to each of the movements. So I'm going to go for 6 rotating chin-ups and 9 of the paused press-ups. And the paused press-ups are on an incline to increase the range of motion to make the movement harder. So here we go. And as well as working the lats and the biceps, you also have to work the core very hard to try and stay stable and avoid the lateral rotation. And the pause at the bottom of each movement takes all the momentum and the kinetic energy out of the movement, and that makes it harder because it means you have to kind of really initiate the muscles you want to work on the press up there, the chest and the triceps, in order to explode upwards. And you can see that the power in the final reps was lower than the power in the initial reps, certainly on that press up, because the speed of the rep was slower. And with the light coming in from the side, and having literally just completed the supersets of rotating chin up and press up, this is, shall we say, the optimal moment to be providing a conditioning update. But here we go. The weight is stable at 62.5 to 63 kilograms, and the conditioning, therefore, is pretty much the same as it was 3 weeks ago when I last provided the update. However, in that 3 weeks, I have been undertaking a lot more press-ups, and in particular, harder variants of the press-up. And I think, therefore, that that's now starting to show through in a little bit more size in terms of the muscle on the upper torso. Obviously, the back muscles and the bicep muscles have deteriorated a little bit. I'm hoping to remedy that with more of the rotating pull-ups and chin-ups. And on balance, I am still a believer that for the cyclist, it is beneficial to carry muscle through both the upper torso and the lower torso, because I do believe that muscle aids athletic performance. It helps convert energy into power through the crank, it helps provide core stability, and also it helps provide a whole bunch of other health benefits, including flexibility and preventing injury. So overall, I am still looking to add a little bit more, but not much more muscle to the upper torso. It's really difficult to add muscle, in all honesty, so it's not something that really concerns me overly. I'm going to kind of bulk up and become really slow on the bike. So with the supersets in the bag, it's now time for Ed's sprint training, and it's simplicity personified. It's just 4 20-second sprints with 4 minutes recovery between each sprint. And each sprint has been prescribed at a minimum 200% of FTP, i.e. 600 watts for me. Now I'm in Watt Bike Hub today because in between sprints I want to focus on pedaling technique, a nice even distribution of power through both legs, nice circular push down and pull back on the pedaling straight. About 10 seconds away from the first sprint. I'll change up through the gears. Now, on the drops, gonna go gear 16. Any second. Now. I think that was the best of the bunch. Well, I guess that's the cycling equivalent of an explosive lower body strength training. So it complements the upper body supersets perfectly. And I really enjoyed it. It's the first time I've done any dedicated sprint training really sub 30 seconds. And I drew a lot on some of the comments many of you have kindly provided in the vlog relating to trying higher gearing and lower cadence, and in the drops really focusing on core stability and hinging at the hips. Or some of you, as I tried towards the end there, an easier gear and a much faster cadence. And I think I got my best result there on Mama Bear gear, i.e. gear 16, in between the heavier gear 20 I think I was using initially and the gear 14 I went down to. But definitely the higher cadence is really helpful. It's harder to sustain that higher cadence though as we get into that 20 seconds. But a great training that, and hopefully it will keep the nervous system and the muscles all ready to go for tomorrow's race. Another one of the Tour for Alls, so it's going to be emotional. Well, as is pretty typical for me, both the strength training, the sprint training, and also the zone 2 that came afterwards was all undertaken fasted with just the amino acids, cold coffee and plenty of water. So now the training's over, it's time to focus on recovery, and that means the nutrition needs to be on point. Protein to repair muscle damage, vitamin C to calm the body down and get rid of cortisol by way of the blueberries, green drink to give plenty of vitamins, minerals and general goodness, and then loads of carbs to replenish glycogen stores and prepare the body for the race tomorrow. So turning to the power. The peak 10-second power was 797 watts, which I reckon is probably a personal best for me, and the same goes for my peak 20-second power, 753 watts or 11.95 watts a kilogram. So very happy with that. Obviously the Watt bike is a pretty stable platform on which to practice a sprint. I'll probably have a compare and contrast outside at some point. Anyway, now time to see if I can beat my personal best on the green string. There is 650 millilitres in this. Here we go. And we can apply a timer to that and see how I progress. Pre-race weigh-in. 63 it is. Now I'm going to be warming up using Chris Garinet's kettlebell swings, but first it's time for some carbohydrate intake. Same as last week. Oh dear. Oops, easy. Where's it gone? Highly branched chain cyclic dextrin, bodybuilding supplement, very fast digesting carbs, perfect if you're racing very first thing in the morning. Look at the weather though. It was meant to be windy, cloudy and overcast, hence the Zwift race. Look at that. There's 50 minutes to go until the race, and I'm going to warm up on the bike obviously, but additionally I'm going to mix in Chris Garrinet's kettlebell swings, albeit I have a new kettlebell because time is short and I wasn't able to fashion anything else. I present to you. Anyway, so I'm going to do it with a single arm, which is a different variant. Just makes it a little bit harder, I guess, and therefore because the weight's lower, I'll be easily able to kind of accommodate that. This can't be much more weight, it's 2 kilograms. Recover, repeat 3 times, then hit the bike. I don't think I've ever spent any drops, the Shaz bag. So the people on the front are obviously looking for a fast time because they're saying there's time to make up. And that's concerning for someone like myself. Well, I've literally just finished the live stream of stage 5 of the Tour for All, and overall I think it was another good step in the right direction and verifies the strategy to keep doubling down on Ed's polarized training, but also doubling down on the recovery and the nutrition, including the rest days. Because overall it's about 51, 52 minutes. I placed 21st, and that's a really good placing for me in the Cat A's. Average power about 282 watts. Normalised power 287 watts, but importantly during the first 31, 32 kilometres that was in and around London, relatively flat, and I conserved a hell of a lot of energy by hanging out in kind of zone 3, lower zone 4 in the wheels of others, so that I had plenty of energy when we got to the summit finish on Keith Hill, where I dropped the hammer and really pleasingly put down a 10 and 12 minute new power PB of 323 watts for 10 minutes, 324 watts for 12 minutes. Don't know why that is, but basically that's around about 5.1 watts a kilogram. So definitely really happy with that. Great live stream, tons of good support, and obviously the pain face was fully deployed. Now on to give my daughter a driving lesson.